Hi everybody, my name is Elisha Harrington. I am the Asia Pacific ServiceNow Innovation Officer, and I'm incredibly excited to be welcoming you to this live event as we talk about all things designing AI for governance, control, accountability across the enterprise. We know organizations are really starting to not only look at the deployment of AI, but also start to scale and start to really ask the tough, complex questions around AI. I'm joined by Ashok. It's great to be here with you today, Ashok.
Thank you, Elisha. It's great to be here too. I am a partner in Uvance Wayfinders, which is the global consulting division of Fujitsu. Our role in the market is to be an exciting new partner for organizations looking to implement AI at scale, but also do it in a responsible, safe, ethical manner.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know we've been having many discussions across the region. It would be great to just talk a little bit about, our organizations and what we do. I mean, for example, our team, we sit at the intersection of innovation, AI research and engineering effectively, so that we can start to look at the horizons and see what's really happening next and how we bring that forefront to customers. And I know there's an incredible synergy that we have with you as partners as well.
Absolutely. We have really complementary capabilities to each other in that you provide the AI-driven platform, which is contemporary cloud-based AI native. We are a deeply engineering-focused organization, but our focus is not purely on technology, but also in bringing the intersection of how people interact with AI and how to bring sustainability, ethical use of AI, safe use of AI, and also a level of risk governance and assurance to how AI is implemented with our clients.
That level of rigor is certainly important, especially when you've got regulated entities. The level of control and policy that's required to not only resolve these technologies as it relates to when things go wrong. So
Absolutely.
How do we start to navigate the waters when we have AI-related incidents? And just notably, I mean, we talk about innovation in 18-month innovation cycles. Now we are seeing new AI models released to the world within 2 to 3 months. So the pace of change is immense.
Yep.
But I think the enterprise readiness there is still a gap there. And we recently did a survey over the last couple of years with ServiceNow, partnered with Oxford University across 2024 and last year in 2025. And we ran an AI index and sentiment analysis. We asked organizations to sort of rank their AI maturity from about 0 to 100. And we noticed the score in 2024 was around 34. We actually saw the next year in 2025, that dropped 9 points. And that's because whilst we're seeing the uptake in investment, lots of proof of concepts, lots of experimentation, we're really starting to see that operating model cadence and formation start to really not really form in the ways that were intended.
Yep.
And what we mean by that is when we talk about trust, when we talk about operating models, how are they well equipped to be functioning around these AI capabilities? A great example is we look at the transformations that we're seeing in the CIO office as we start to look at autonomous IT and service desk automation. But what we're seeing is how do we organize the ability for people to have those approvals and keep humans in the loop? We're not organizing our teams and our operating models to really absorb this technology in a way that flows well throughout the organization. So what are you seeing? Where do organizations get caught up in some of the examples that I've been able to provide?
The example you provided where the maturity dipped by 9 percentage points is actually a good thing in a way, because when AI first started being deployed quite pervasively across organizations, everybody expected a lot out of it. Because of the rate of pace at which AI is changing, evolving, becoming better day by day in the market, people are starting to realize the capabilities, the positives, but also some of the shortcomings of AI. That's a good thing. The other thing that we're also noticing is organizations who rushed in and bought an LLM or a license to do a specific point AI solution, they're now starting to realize that they need a strategy around what they're trying to do with this technology, because it's going to be quite ubiquitous. Everybody's using it. They need a long-term solution towards how this is implemented. It is not a add-on or a bolt-on solution. So a lot of organizations are investing in creating a clean core, investing in ensuring that the right infrastructure is in place. But a lot of organizations, hearteningly, are also starting to think about there is not unlimited compute power. There's not unlimited electricity to supply to data centers, and that's going to manifest itself in pricing at some point in time. The chick's going to be due. A lot of the AI today is deeply subsidized. So a lot of them are also thinking about how do we use emerging technologies like quantum to be able to do more on a smaller wafer, a smaller footprint. That is an exciting field that Fujitsu and Uvance Wayfinders is playing into as well.
You mentioned this sort of synergy almost between quantum and AI, and I get really excited when you speak about that, because I know, for example, one of the large banks, HSBC, they were able to actually deploy quantum computing in their trading and capital markets, leading to about a 34% increase in accuracy around their trades, which is just incredible when you read something like that. So when we look at these capabilities, and as technologists are looking at them, but also the business are adopting them, how do we sort of navigate having the right governance structures in place? As an example, there's significant amount of AI-related loss and financial loss, material, reputational loss that can occur when AI behaves in unintended ways, especially as it relates to servicing customers. One example was an insurance company where they'd offered the wrong policy and pricing, and it had a material impact on the customer financially.
Yeah.
And that actually ended up in the courts, and a dispute was raised for that, which led to, of course, reputational impact to the organization. So how do we get in front of those things? What mechanisms do you see work really well as it relates to this AI trust layer that's required?
As you sort of already picked up on the fact that it has to be addressed at multiple levels. You can't just put human oversight or privacy oversight or a technology oversight over it. It has to be like a multi-pronged approach to how you implement safe, ethical guidelines around how AI is implemented and used. For example, we have R&D teams currently working on how to capture proactively the thoughts of when an LLM is asked something in real time. Is it loaded? Is it being asked the right questions? How is it going to behave in real time? And use that to almost proactively stop incorrect solutions being doled out to the requester, whether it's technology and another LLM or a person who's asking those questions. It's quite exciting that today we are able to look at the core of the LLM's engineering capabilities, and we are able to do real-time stuff like this on top of existing SaaS-enabled AI platforms. So interested in the question from me to you, how are you handling this from a platform and SaaS perspective?
I'm glad you asked the question, Ashok. And I mean, when we think about the concept of an AI control tower, we need to have visibility across your AI estate. We also need to have the ability to have control mechanisms in place that allow for that kill switch, that failure point. But also, where's the feedback loops as it relates to deployments of AI, and in that customer service example that I gave you. But also, there are significant security, risk, data questions. And so we all need to work together as one organization. And there's so many teams involved with not only the deployment of AI, but also the ongoing management of AI, even across the AI lifecycle. And so the way what we see emerge is an AI control tower. It's effectively being able to have not only visibility across your AI inventory, so where AI sits in your organization, having an inventory of that which has data lineage and model lineage, so that you've got traceability. But then you also have the ability to track and manage things like model cards and explainability if you were to be contested by a regulator, so that we have these audit mechanisms in place for continuous assessment and continuous risk control assessment in the organisation. That's absolutely key to unlocking the prize that we all want, which is being able to sleep a bit easier at night as we have these autonomous systems running in our enterprise. Especially when you think about having agents talk to other agents and make decisions on behalf of teams. Those decisions not only need to have visibility to how they were derived in the first place, but we have to build things into them like bias control or model drift scenarios. And this is where teams need to work together on these complex questions, solve them, but it's also never a one-size-fits-all or approach or a set and forget experience. This is really going to be an ongoing journey for all organizations.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we're noticing also is that a lot of AI in the market today is quite strong by basis of correlation. If you feed it enough historical information and you feed the right information into it, and therefore the data and AI plumbing layer beneath it becomes really important. If you do all of that, what it produces is correlation-driven outcomes and outputs. What we're doing on top of that is to layer it with a level of causal insights. So what is causing a particular event to happen, whether recurrently or intermittently? What is the cycle between the intermittent occurrence of that? And then we sort of layer that with some more thinking around how to make it hardened, more robust in its implementation. So our work in the market typically, as you know, a lot of the work is around public safety and organizations that depend on the kind of implementations we do technologically, right? So this kind of hardening, this kind of sort of dependable, sustainable AI is really important in the market to be sort of looked at quite closely. And working with partners like you, where we have the layer of the platform layer coming at scale, scalability also becomes improved because you're already AI native. You enable a lot of these capabilities out of the box. All we need to do is to sort of layer our engineering best of breed practitioner insight on top of it to be able to advise organizations better.
That's really well said. And I mean, exactly right. ServiceNow, we've applied AI natively within the platform. I mean, architecturally, it's within the code base, within the data model, within the workflow. And so it has the right business context. So if you are mapping critical business processes, you can see not only the software assets that are in your estate, but you see where AI is if we take that AI control tower concept. But you're also able to gain all the benefits that come with using AI in that interoperability way, but also making sure that it's also housed in one data model so that you have a true sense of not only the security and risk-enabled layer, but also you're able to do that in that robust environment. When we see solutions that are bolted on, we have this sort of disconnected experience with AI. So you might have a prompt response with a particular AI, but it's disconnected from your, in a banking scenario, for example, from your due diligence processes, from your know your customer processes, all of these required standard operating procedures. We've got this disconnected AI experience that sort of sits standalone. So you eventually sort of run into a corner. We want to start to see AI that's truly embedded in the workflows. And also we're seeing organizations gain much more as they take a platform approach to some of this thinking as well.
Absolutely. So when you adopt a platform-based acceleration and scaling approach to enabling AI across organizations, what are your thoughts on how risk and governance plays out, particularly from that sort of privacy angle?
Well, I mean, privacy is a very big topic because privacy can relate to data, being able to ensure that we're giving employees control-based access to the data that's required and not necessarily sensitive information. But there's a whole host of scenarios as it relates to not only privacy, but also being able to protect customers and protect the organization. But if I just take as a broad stroke to your question, we're seeing a lot of frameworks evolve worldwide. We're seeing AI regulations also evolve worldwide. Some of them in Australia at the moment are guideline approaches as it relates to the deployment of AI, but they're actually asking organizations to at least rank your use cases into high, medium, and low risk use cases. So there's different treatment controls and processes that are associated with each. A high risk use case could be, for example, in customer service, where we are giving pricing, we are giving product advice, etc. We know history tells us about AI's use in, say, robo-advice, and we know the implications that's had on the market. Another example I want to give you is a Hong Kong bank. And we know on the rise is deepfake scenarios, the ability for AI to clone a voice within something like 10 to 12 seconds.
Yep.
So in these scenarios with this example with the bank, they lost around $200 million due to the penetration that was the hackers that were able to infiltrate the systems. And so we have these scenarios, these AI-related events. We need to get in front of them. And we can't be looking at static dashboards to tell us the signals of what's happening. We actually need a living, breathing system that's operationally managing, our third parties, for example. When we look at third-party risk, your dependency on third parties, the ability to onboard those vendors and ensure that they are meeting their contract obligations is number one. And so, all of this comes together in not only ensuring that you have a very robust framework, but you've also got the ability to have these processes and specialists involved that are able to act as quickly as they can and hopefully get in front of some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just daft to expect human oversight and frameworks to be the only solution to how AI, an agentic-enabled organization, is driving decisions and outcomes, correct? So, at least from a Fujitsu and Uvance Wayfinders perspective, we have an AI-driven solution to risk monitoring, management, and how that is proactively managed. That then goes into all of the frameworks that are deployed at client organizations. That then bubbles up at a human layer to ensure that judgment and decision prevails at the end of everything. But at the same time, at the code level and at the agentic level, when the actions and decisions are being made, that is also quite monitored and controlled in how the decisions are made, and there is auditability and traceability in ultimately how the end-to-end decisions play out.
Fantastic. And I guess, you're speaking to so many organizations across Asia Pacific, but also across different industries that have different requirements. And maybe the use of AI in healthcare and medicine, obviously where it's life-changing, life-saving, but also high-risk scenarios, is very, very different to maybe deploying a use case, maybe within IT, a back office function within a utility company.
Yep.
So I think really depends on the use case, the urgency, and the ability to, I guess, have this what I call two-speed scenario. If we need to move fast, we need AI to give us all of these productivity benefits, but at the same time, we need the level of oversight. We need a risk committee. And also, I'm seeing the Center of Excellences evolve where they have representation from technology, the business, risk, working together and navigating these complex conversations. So I guess with that, Ashok, when we see AI trust layer, when we think about responsible innovation, how do we start to navigate these waters in these concrete examples?
Well, I think at the top of all of these questions lies a strategy. Like, what do you really want to do with this pervasive, ubiquitous technology of the future? It's a once in a century, once in a lifetime type sort of technology that's out there. So you need to make some careful and calculated decisions on what you're going to be able to do with it. Do you want it to, as you sort of pointed out, do you want to use it in back office, prove the points, and then move it into more critical functions? Or do you want to use it within the critical functions, but in low sort of risk scenarios? So, you're able to feed the critical functions with better risk-adjusted figures using causal frameworks, for example, which is also AI-driven. So there are sort of many ways and many opportunities for us to capitalize on the benefit of AI. But what's required is a proper plan. What's required is the right leadership. What is required is also having the ability to make the critical decisions that enable AI to be applied in a trustworthy, safe, ethical manner. Because if you let it run amok, it's going to be a huge problem in the next sort of few months and years.
Exactly. We're also seeing related incidents around, bias in recruitment, and even lending scenarios within banking. So it has societal outcomes as well.
Correct.
It has almost a ripple effect across how we use this technology for good, but also how it can be misused in a lot of ways as well. And ultimately, we as humans, we are engineering, we're writing the code. I think there's a statistic that within the next 5 years, we might see 50% of all code being written by AI. So that's fundamentally changing software development as we know it.
Yep.
Which is crazy. And at the same time, we're all wondering, how do we augment our workforce for the future? Do we become more supervisory roles, oversight roles, analyst roles, to be continuously designing and inventing new capability within the organization? We won't be needing to do all of this manual drudgery work that we see swivel chairing between many, many systems to get very basic things done. So I think whilst there's a huge advantage to automate and gain more insight from the data that we have and the processes that we have, I think the big call out is that we need to reinvent our processes. We can't put old processes and static data with a new AI capability.
In fact, that's the worst thing you could do, because in the old world, you had technology, systems, people, and then process that sat on top of all of that. And people would document and follow a particular process for discrete sets of technologies coming together and helping drive the organization. In the future, and increasingly even today, that world is getting disrupted because there's legacy technology, there's a layer of that amounting to tech debt. There are platforms, then there is automation applications and wrapper applications that have sort of come together to become the ecosystem of enterprise architecture. And then on top of that, there's also going to be agentic that's going to act as a glue in acting out the decisions, interpreting the different decisions that need to be taken, and maybe controlling parts of the value chains of how a process is run. So the process re-engineering of the past versus the process setup of the future is going to be quite different. It is a fallacy to be just sort of dependent on past documentation sets and expect humans and AIs to be able to work with just technology to drive the outcomes that are required. It needs a completely different and reimagined style of process mining intelligence to be set up properly before true transformation can be enabled.
That's right. We can't look in the rear view mirror with all of our data all the time when we've got signals, maybe market signals, data and opportunities to create new products and services. If we start looking at real-time information, I'm seeing incredible amount of opportunity, for example, in the manufacturing sector. We're seeing robotics take obviously telemetry data, and we can take that information. There is just incredible, plethora of ideas that are happening in, these end-to-end value chains to not only take feedback from customers to be able to build new innovations and get them out to market, but use AI in a way. We talk a lot about cost out, productivity with AI, but we don't talk enough about revenue generating opportunities with how AI can actually help to look at the market. Maybe an organization wants to enter a new market or a new segment, and then we can actually go to market really, really quickly, given all of the insights that AI is able to give us.
There are actually two angles to this. One, as we know, and there are several studies that have come out and said implementation of AI hasn't quite delivered the benefits that organizations expected. That is true, but to your point, they don't capture the top line benefits that AI enables, because now it makes people faster, more seamless. It enables people to think better as long as they're using it right. But the other angle to this, and this is, I think, the large opportunity that is not captured by a lot of organizations. I read a data point recently where something like 25% of Ireland's energy usage is just going into data centers. And that sort of dwarfs home and medium business use figures as well, in terms of how much electricity is being pumped into these data centers to make the LLMs work on a everyday basis, right? So talking about sustainability, that is one of our unique angles as well, in that how are we able to use upcoming technologies like quantum to shrink the footprint of how AI is implemented. It is not just, we're not thinking about just raw delivery of power. It is also how we are able to use different channels, how are we able to intelligently route data through different pipes to be able to enable better sustainability across the implementation of AI. That's at an engineering product level. At an AI level as well, we are using concepts which allow for a lot of the rerouting of data pipes effectively and efficiently, so that it doesn't take up a lot of the capabilities. The approach today in the market has been very, if there is a need for more use of agentic or AI, we'll acquire another 100 licenses and get it done. But there's a better way. There is a more efficient way of implementing AI as well, and that's one of the things that we take to market quite regularly.
That's right. How do we power a future, given all the power and supply that we will need to power this future? We keep talking about quantum, which is interesting. One last thing I'll say on quantum is, we know organizations need to get ready for quantum. I think something by 2035, all United States agencies of government need to actually live in a post-encryption, post-quantum world, and all of their procedures need to follow that new mandate. So I know you're probably talking to organizations about how do they get in front of not only this technology like AI, but also quantum, and how its use combined together will have completely different implications for encryption, security. Something like, I'm not sure what the data point is, but we're already seeing penetration into cyber environments and in test environments around the world with some of these quantum processes. So it's an exciting future.
Apart from that, we're building the largest and the most powerful supercomputer in the world as we speak. So
there you go.
It is something that we are investing deeply into, and we know that when the initial wave of AI pilots are done with, which is right now, and organizations are looking to scale effectively but also in an efficient manner, quantum is going to matter quite a bit.
Exactly. I mean, we've sort of spoken about responsible AI, how do we scale, how do we achieve. I wanted to debunk some theories. We've all probably been in rooms where, maybe, a couple of people are confused about automation and AI.
You bet.
Or maybe it's machine learning, or it's real AI. Some other theories that I've heard of is, actually, will AI take my job? Or what does the future sort of look like? So I'd like to debunk a couple of theories with you.
Can I ask you the first one?
Go ahead.
Is all AI Gen AI?
No.
Can you elaborate?
When we think of generative AI, it is the generation of content. It's usually needing a prompt response. It's quite. I guess, you ask me a question, I'll give you a response back, set criteria, quite rule-based in its scenario. When we think about agentic AI, this is where systems can actually learn and make decisions on behalf of and take action and start to navigate and look at data and bring together back recommendations, insights, etc. So there is a big difference between the different technologies and the categories of AI. And there's also a question of what is artificial general intelligence. What does that mean? We're not there yet.
Yep.
So these cognitive abilities, these different, effectively computer science techniques, have been evolving, but they've also been around for a very long time when we think about neural networking and the fundamentals. So I think it's very important to be clear also these different types of technologies and the use of them and the best use cases to use each one for,
Right.
Which is fundamentally important. But I think almost a bigger question, we could probably talk between each other on this one, is where do I have people in the loop? If I have an experience that is generative AI, maybe I'm the supply chain specialist and I'm using generative AI to query where all my shipments are up to. Is that the best use of that technology? Then I might have agents that go out and do scheduling, shipment ordering, inventory allocation, etc. So how do you see all of this play out with people and our collaboration effort with these new AI systems?
Gen AI is a great opportunity for people to use AI and touch and feel it, because in the old world of change management, when you're pushing a particular product, a new product into the hands of people, the biggest challenge is to get it in the hands of people and allowing them to play with it and understand and configure it and see how it works as a new tool. People are already there with Gen AI. So now the incremental change management required is to give them the use cases, give them the robust structures that are required to accelerate that learning from the initiation phase that we've already been through in the last few months and years to a phase where people are able to use it more effectively. They're able to get the full benefit of how they derive the outcomes from agentic AI. So I think that's a great opportunity from a people-centric perspective. But then when you look at it as an organization, as a leader, there are obviously decisions that will happen at volume and scale. And this is an opportunity to use a lot of the data crunching, comparative nature of agentic AI to be able to pick up information from different pools of data lying around in the organization and start giving you answers and solutions. And to the earlier conversation we're having, separate the insight from the noise that typically comes with having a lot of data. And then at the top of that, you have more and more critical functions being sort of layered as in the way organizations typically work. And therefore, it is important to bring more human judgment and insights into taking decisions at more criticality and risk levels to enable more accountability and traceability.
That's right. I think that was beautifully said. And I think where you might have sort of straight through processing or very AI heavy scenarios or experiences, I think it's great to have those, but I think it's also important to have the other channel mechanisms, and I'll explain why. We have still different demographics, right, that choose as a customer to take different experiences. Maybe I don't want to fully operate with my AI assistant for
Correct.
my bank or my telco. I might still want to talk to somebody about a complex construction loan or what have you.
Correct.
So I think we're going to need all the experiences, and with the thresholds and processes baked in, maybe over a certain amount of lending, for example, we actually have a senior specialist come and get involved. But now we can allow that specialist banker, instead of doing the drudgery work or having to facilitate, selling techniques, maybe out in agribusiness as an example, that takes up a long time to go and do these assessments.
Yep.
Maybe we do that for them with their own AI pilot.
Yep.
And if that's successful within agribusiness, we can actually deploy that across the other lines of business as well.
Yeah, examples being, accounts payable, receivable, you should absolutely look at straight-through processing being enabled. Clinical drug trials, where you need to sort of do a lot of what-ifs and scenario-based modeling around the data sets and how you need to compare the different trial information. absolutely AI has to be used. But when it comes to taking decisions around which drug to select, treasury, for example, as a function, you need more judgment around sort of how you enable that, right?
Exactly right. So it's an exciting time. Maybe one more of the theories that we'd like to debunk is, can I trust AI and the output if it is deployed in the enterprise? And what does a true black box scenario actually mean?
At the moment, a lot of the deployment of AI, the moment you don't understand how you're deploying AI, what it has access to, the provenance of data that you're feeding into AI, and how it is extracting that information and what information is it comparing it with. If you don't have a deep understanding of what that looks like, that's a black box situation. We don't want that, right? Not every implementation needs to be a licensed LLM, OpenAI, or a sort of Google situation either. You could use SLMs, or you could use more sovereign platforms and technologies internal to the organization, which is still AI, but it is used in a way that you're able to draw the provenance back, and therefore you're able to understand the engineering behind what happens in that model. Are we using enough interrogative structures, other LLMs on top of the existing LLMs to be able to extract the output and see it visibly? Can we see the data move between platforms, how it changes and shapes and shifts in agentic structures? The more visibility we're able to get from it, the better the outcome, the better the insight is going to be. Because as a leader, when you see 100 metrics being thrown out by a particular LLM, you're able to pick out which is an anomaly, because you bring institutional experience, knowledge, thumb rules that you gained over 20 years of experience having operated in that situation as a treasurer, as a head of finance, as a banker. You're able to pick out which one's genuinely insightful to you and filter out the noise.
Exactly. It's great to read insights, recommendations, data points, but being able to interpret them, use them in the right scenario. And that's really what the magic sauce is for every organization from a competitive advantage perspective. I mean, just to give you a quick statistic, the Fortune 500, 40% of all organizations are mentioning AI in all of their earnings calls. Correct. And it has a direct correlation to their share price. Competitive advantage, being able to get ahead of this technology. Probably maybe a final question for us as we sort of close is, what are you most excited about? And what's the best takeaway and piece of advice that we could give organizations as they start to navigate?
We spoke earlier about how the industry is moving from artificial narrow intelligence to general intelligence, or AGI, to super intelligence. A lot of the tech pundits would have us believe that we are very close to moving to super intelligence and AI would sort of automate everything. But the reality is quite different in that we see organizations struggle with implementing AI in a sustainable, safe, dependable manner. And that is an opportunity that I'm most excited about in helping organizations scale, in helping organizations implement the right AI-enabled, AI-native workflow tools and solutions like ServiceNow, in taking them through that journey and uplifting the knowledge of people in going through that sort of entire roadmap. We are a fair distance away from educating and telling everybody about the possibilities of AI within organizations. That maturity uplift, taking organizations and our clients through that journey, is what genuinely excites me. What about you?
Fantastic, and that's an exciting future to get excited about. Well, when I think about the opportunity that we have, and I just want to speak a little bit about what we're doing internally within ServiceNow and what we've been able to achieve. Kelly Romack, she is our Chief Digital and Information Officer, and currently running within ServiceNow, within the IT function, we're actually running 78% of all service level 1 processes and service level 1 requests fully autonomous with AI agents today. That's obviously been a journey for us, a lot of learnings. How do we organize ourselves around this new technology? So that's things like password reset, being able to look into systems and almost have early detection of a particular vulnerability within our network or within our environment, being able to have AI agents actually look into that problem, have a diagnostic agent, being able to then start to look at remediation activities, produce a plan around that, and having these 3 or 4 agents work in conjunction together to be able to reduce the load on the service desk, And the volume of tickets, it's not about the volume of tickets, it's about, or closing the number of tickets. It's about being able to have efficiency and truly getting to the root cause of problems in the organization as fast as we can, and learning from that over time. So we've been able to achieve such great activity within the organization and energy and momentum around the deployment of AI. And I just love to share that with the world so that they can practically and pragmatically start to get on a journey. I imagine a future where the CISO sleeps easier at night. The CIO, instead of waking up to those 3 a.m. War room calls where they've had a vulnerability in their network, because we know with CPS 230 and operational resilience, it is such a critical time. And these responsible, accountable owners under the BEAR regime, they are liable for the institution. We sleep easier. We know we have more intelligent systems that can self-heal, self-optimize, so that we can focus on our innovation roadmaps and really get to value quicker. So I'm excited to being able to put the drudgery to bed, rationalize a very legacy landscape that you mentioned that we've built up over many decades of procuring technology, and get to a world where we are able to pull the levers of the organization and pull them together in a way that is purpose-built for a greater impact. So it's an exciting time. I know we have some announcements. We're doing a lot of activities together as 2 organizations, and I'm excited for not only the year ahead and the rest of the outlook of 2026, but also the things that we can shape together. So just wanted to thank you so much for an incredible conversation.
I had a wonderful time. Thanks for your insights, Elisha.
And thank you for everyone for joining in. I wanted to mention that we are having some live events together in partnership, both Sydney and Brisbane. As well, we have our ServiceNow AI Summits, 5th of March in Auckland, 12th of March here in Melbourne, where we're sitting. And also, we also have a CIO.com interview on leadership and decision making and how we navigate in this new world that we live in with AI as we jointly look at our paths together and help our customers on that journey. So with you, thank you.
Thank you very much.